It's still boiling hot. Alright. When I arrive at the White Hart, Issa isn't in the main hall. The young lady manning the counter, however, seems to have been expecting me. Master Kabir is in the kitchen, my lady. I thank her and head to the back of the tavern. Oh my god, it's so hot. It's so hot. After pushing through a swing door, I find myself in a kitchen bustling with activity. It takes me a second to locate Issa. There you are, please come in. He seems excited when he comes up to me and gives a quick glance to the basket I'm carrying. So glad you could make it. Here, let me introduce my cooking staff. A row of men and women wearing chef's hats and aprons line up, and Issa introduces them all so quickly their names and faces immediately pass from my memory. A pleasure to meet you all. Everyone looks at me expectantly, and for a moment I feel rather self-conscious. I set the basket down and take out the stew. At least I know the food itself is good, since it was prepared by the kitchen staff earlier today. I wasn't told this would be a demonstration. I shoot Issa a pointed look. He at least has the decency to look a little abashed. But since you're all here, I suppose you want to learn more about enchanting food. Yes, ever since I tasted that soup of yours, my head's just been brimming with ideas. I tried to make it myself, but... He points at a burned spot above one of the stoves. I wince. Right, fire magic. Enchanting food is really no more dangerous than cooking is in the first place. There will always be a risk of injury, but so long as you're careful and take proper precautions, you should be just fine. The gathered chefs all lean in, their ears perking. Of course, your magic affinity also determines what exactly you can do. Fire and water magic are best suited to it, for obvious reasons. It soon becomes apparent that only Issa and one of the other cooks have a natural affinity for enchantment. Even still, I teach them all the noodle stew recipe as best I can. Issa instructs everyone without water or fire affinity to help with the mundane preparations, while he and the other cooks focus on the enchantment itself. This time nothing explodes, and at the end of the lesson, another nearly identical bowl of soup sits next to the one I brought. The cooks all eagerly chat among themselves, thinking of ways to apply this new knowledge. Thank you, Chef Rosencruz. I'm no chef. He waves my protest away, drying his hands on a cloth before leaning in and tasting the stew they made. He nods. Needs more salt, regular salt. But it's still pretty good, considering the one you brought was made by the palace cooks. He shoots me an amused look. To be honest, I never imagined this would be the sort of thing a High Council member would be up to. Oh? They have an entire department for enchanting food. They are the real magicians. Food alchemy is serious business because it has such a direct connection to the common people. We can make heads of lettuce that remain fresh for a month's journey, or cow's milk that cures gout. At this, Issa becomes more serious and nods for me to continue. Back home, my favourite meals were always prepared by light mages, someone who knows exactly what it is that I want better than I do myself. I smile, thinking back to my time with the High Council. Of all the times I snuck into their kitchens with my fellow students, and how often we stole heavenly sweet plates set out to cool. I know a few recipes, some for healing, some that make all foods palatable to children, and a few favourites. Unfortunately, if you really want magical cuisine, I'm not the person to ask. Issa nods thoughtfully. Is it possible to study this? If I send Puck there to the High Council, do you think he could learn more? I glance at the cook, the only other one aside from Issa that can enchant. He's talking animatedly with his peers and trying to describe the process. He has some talent with water magic for sure. With practice, I've no doubt he could refine it further. I don't know if the High Council has a culinary school though. Perhaps they should. I will have to write to my father and ask. That would be incredible, thank you. It would make all the difference to Puck's family too. I can't promise anything. You've done plenty already. Master Kabir insists I share the meal we made with the cooks, so I spend a pleasant afternoon talking about recipes and food magic. When it's finally time to leave, I am both full and happy. The palace hallways are uncommonly crowded today. Nobles walk past me in small groups, lagging behind them are their pages and courtiers, talking as much as their masters. I weave through the throng of people, intending to return to my study, when I spot Prince Seren ahead. Yay! Hey, bae. He is in deep conversation with someone I haven't seen around for a while. Count Udes. I step closer, intending to greet the two. Their words drift to me as I do. They are packing the carriage as we speak. I merely wanted to say a personal goodbye. Oh, he is leaving. Your presence here will be missed by all, my lord. Not by the vipers of this court, your highness. Seren smiles, but makes no reply. Your highness, if you would please allow me a moment of frankness. Of course. I have watched you and your brothers grow up, and I cannot help but worry. Do you know what they say about Aurelius? I am afraid I do not, my good lord. Of course you know. They say he's recruiting an army of mercenaries. They say he spends all his time currying for favors from Marin by courting Lady Gabrielle. It's frightening to say the least. My lord, we both know that Aurelius accepts me as the legitimate heir to the throne. He would never hurt me. Seren's voice is gentle, but he speaks of his absolutely unshakable trust. Count Udes sighs. I am aware, my dear prince. However, I fear some nobles hope the rumors are true. They would delight in joining Prince Aurelius if he ever marched on the capital. The old count shakes his head, and as he puts his hands behind his back, I notice the tension in his stance. I was there when your father formed Eskia. I remember how it was before the king's peace, and I know some of my peers would not mind returning to those times. A stance I have difficulty understanding, if I am to be honest. I am sorry to worry you, my prince. The nobles I speak of are all old like I am. Their sons and daughters will grow up knowing only the stability and peace your family has brought us. 2 decades is such a short time, but another 2. Then we who remember the bad old days will all be gone. A terrible loss, my lord. Not at all. That is the only way genuine change comes about. Out with the old, in with the new. Count Udes laughs again, this time at his own eventual death. Which brings me to my next subject, my heir, the apple of my eye, my darling Ishbell. Seren lights up, smiling. A charming young lady. Yes, charming, quick-witted, kind and compassionate. I cannot help but smile at the warmth in his voice. Whatever their history, whatever reason he had for not recognizing her until now, he is clearly making up for those years of lost love. But alas, down south, so far from the court, she is in danger of growing up wild and uncultured, like one of our mountain goats. I stifle a laugh, and I can see Prince Seren is doing his best to maintain his polite smile. The Count, however, gives a good-natured chuckle. Seeing as she has made such fast friends with Nadia and has begun so many excellent projects in the city, you wonder if she could stay at court? My good lord, of course she can. I promise I will personally see to her safety. I can see the tension fall from the Count's whole body, and he brings his palms together in earnest gratitude. Thank you, your highness. It warms an old man's heart to hear that. He grows a bit morose for an instant. Although I will miss her dearly. Your temporary loss will be our gain, my lord. The Count and Prince Seren exchange more pleasantries as they walk towards the gates. Deciding that I have followed them too far already, and that they would probably prefer to continue their conversation privately, I return to my study. Alright. Let's see, what should we do? I wish to consult the guide, actually. Oh, I scrolled down quite a bit. I scrolled down a bit. Week, right. What week are we at? 42. Alright. I don't think it's oh wait, it's not important. I think the next one is important. Let's get our intelligence up. Why am I doing fire for him? I can never remember. And also, why am I doing water for him? I don't remember. We have quite a lot of money. We got that for the person. I guess we should just do another mission, right? No. Let's Wait, that's a combat check. That's an intelligence check. Which I already have. I wish I knew this before, but I guess on my second playthrough I will know. Wait, I'm gonna do Aurelius next, by the way. I'm gonna leave Nazir for last and hope that he surprises me, I guess. I don't think he will, but you never know. I've been shown wrong before. Should we do this one? He wants an enchanted charm to bless his new business. I don't know. I don't know. It's so hard to know. We have like 18 weeks left until it's over. So what should I do? We're getting quite a good amount of gold, but should I... Should I get their stuff up? Ooh, it is extremely warm. I'm trying to look to see... You know, I'm gonna get intelligence up just because... Yeah. I'm gonna just pause and then it'll come back to when I'm done. Okay, this will do. This will just do. We get over 100 weekly income though, which I think is pretty good. New missions are available, great. I stare at the clutter of documents on my desk and they stare back at me. The words blur, run together, and almost seem to dance on the page, making them impossible to read. Raphael brought these treasury reports ages ago, but I can't seem to absorb a single word. I yawn and stretch, suddenly feeling exhausted. Some tea would be nice. As if on cue, there's a careful, polite knock at the door. How does Raphael always know when I need him? I can't help but smile at the thought. Come in. He opens the door and steps inside the study, then stands with his hands clasped behind his back. Despite all the time we've spent together, it seems Raphael is still an enforcer of etiquette. Were the reports to your satisfaction, Lady Rosencruz? To be honest, I've barely read them, but I shuffle the papers around to make it seem like I have. Of course, but I think I could use a short break. Would you mind making some of your special chamomile tea for me? To my surprise, Raphael hesitates for a moment. I actually came to give you a message. Coincidentally, it involves tea. Oh? Yes, Lady Ishbell wishes to invite you to a tea party this afternoon. Tea parties are the latest fad among noblewomen, so I can't help but feel like I'd be out of place. They serve as a display of wealth, a means of sampling new sweets, and a not-so-discreet way to share gossip. Even still, I suppose it's piqued my interest. Is Lady Ishbell hosting it herself? No, I believe Countess of Beringen is. However, Lady Ishbell is attending. I frown. It seems that despite having improved her etiquette by leaps and bounds, she's still prone to mistakes. On the one hand, it might be rude to turn down such an invitation, but on the other, it's even worse to show up unannounced, uninvited, and unwanted. At a loss, I sigh and turn to Raphael for advice. Do you think it's alright for me to go? Lady Ishbell said she has permission from the Countess, so it should be fine. Events like these require people of interest, after all. They provide something for the ladies to discuss. I'd say inviting you is a surprising stroke of genius on Lady Ishbell's part. So I'm their entertainment. An honored guest, actually. Besides, he lowers his voice and steps closer to my desk. In response, I lean forward. It's a discreet place to discuss political matters. Raphael is right, of course. As an honored guest, I should be given a fair bit of leeway when asking questions. Alright, can you please let Lady Ishbell know that I accept her invitation? Of course. He bows and takes his leave. I sigh and, once again, look at the clutter of documents I'd been trying and failing to read through. I suppose my break will have to wait until this afternoon. The Countess of Beringen has taken over the entire garden for her party. By the time I arrive, it's already filled with people. Whiffs of perfume and tea tease my nose as I approach. Clinking cups and polite conversation fill the air too. As expected, most of the attendees are women, who sit in small congregations at tables in and around the pavilion. All the latest fashions are on display, so I can't help but feel out of place. Gloved hands gently lift key teacups to smiling red lips, though sometimes it's to hide less pleasant expressions. As I walk through the garden and towards the pavilion, I feel their eyes on me and try to ignore it. They greet me politely when I pass, but begin to whisper the second they think I'm out of earshot. Somehow, I feel like I've made a terrible mistake in coming here. That is, until Lady Ishbell comes running out of the pavilion. Lady Rosencruz! Lady Ishbell, thank you for the invitation. She comes closer, so much so in fact, that I think she's about to embrace me. Thankfully, she stops and curtsies, and some of the nearby women chuckle at the sight. Of course, when I suggested it to Countess Beringen, she was delighted, and I am delighted to be here. Lady Ishbell turns and leads me to the heart of gathering. When the Countess sees me, she gives a small nod of acknowledgement. I never knew tea parties could be so big. Despite only recognizing a few faces, it seems like everyone recognizes me. Lady Rosencruz, I'm glad you could join us. I bow. In response, she smiles and has another sip of tea. When Lady Ishbell suggested you as the theme for today's party, well... Theme? That's a bit much, isn't it? I blink and try to hide my surprise. I thought it was just a magnificent idea, much better than Moranian fashion anyway. I steal a glance at Lady Ishbell, who does her best to look apologetic and appeasing. A soft sigh escapes me. We were wondering if you could tell us about your position as royal tutor. Don't you think it's important for ladies to stay up to date on current events as well as the latest advances in... She flounders for a moment, so I decide to help. Pedagogy? What the fuck is that? Yes, that. Chairs scrape, but then the chatter dies down. Everyone's eyes are on me, and Lady Ishbell seems especially expectant. I'm teaching. A few of the women nod and murmur politely. Rather than thinking about my apt audience or any potential fallout, I try to give a decent lecture on the subject. Dude, I don't know what to pick here. Knowledge brings people together. Some of the women chuckle, but I'm ready for it. I carefully explain to them that knowledge for its own sake is overrated. After all, a shared appreciation for learning can bring people together, socially, politically, and even romantically. The ladies listen with what appears to be great interest. Lady Ishbell's eyes glow with joy throughout, and as soon as I'm finished, she starts applauding. Relief washes over me. I take a bow, then move to join her at the Countess's table. That was fascinating. Lady Rosencruz. Thank you, Lady Ishbell. Teaching is my passion, so I'm glad it came through in my lecture. It did. I can tell why even Prince Nazir enjoys your lessons so much. The conversation turns to the latest Moranian fashions and whether pearl or diamond earrings are the right jewellery for the ambassador's ball. I space out for some time and try to enjoy the beautiful weather. Every sip of tea seems richer and more exotic than the last. So, Prince Aurelius has finally stopped his recruitment drive, has he? The question is so sudden that I almost spill my drink. I suppose the topic must have changed while I wasn't paying attention. I wonder why it took so long. Prince Theron has nothing but trust for his little brother, or so I've been told. My husband said it was done in anticipation of an arms race with Marin. Your husband heard that from one of his friends, no doubt. The only thing he cares about is hunting. Well, he was still right, wasn't he? Personally, I think Prince Aurelius has had something else in mind. The Moranian issue is just a distraction. What do you think about all of it, Lady Ishbell? I turn to look at her, expecting her to stammer and blush. Despite keeping her voice low and her eyes down, though, she speaks with a sort of quiet confidence. House Oud serves the kingdom above all else. My father is dedicated to keeping our borders safe, since countless Eskians have shed blood to keep them that way. Whoever can guarantee our security is the one that should lead us, no matter who they are. I can't hide my shock. Lady Ishbell always seemed so childlike and innocent when it came to politics, but I guess I was mistaken. She suddenly turns to me, and her expression shifts into a cheerful smile. What do you think, Lady Rosencruz? Who should be king? Suddenly, several pair of eyes are on me. Some of them are amused, and others are serious. This is a dangerous topic. My heartbeat quickens. I'd better say something quickly before someone puts words in my mouth. Well, I passed a intelligence check, so... Oh, shit, look at that! What the fuck? We're so high up on the affection. I didn't... How? I'm gonna say Prince Seren. Did that make it go down? Or not? Because I don't know. Oh wait, look at this! What's this? What is this? Alright. The line of succession is clear. Crown Prince Seren will be the next king. Predictable. Boring. What a safe answer. The women all burst into laughter. I suppose they must have been looking for some juicy gossip, if only to alleviate their boredom. Lady Ishbell, however, seems thoughtful. The conversation continues and everyone finally forgets about me. When I finish my tea, I stand up so I can take my leave. My ladies, thank you for your company and for the invitation, but I'm afraid I have duties to attend to. Of course, and thank you for your lecture. It was most informative. I'll be arranging a tea party of my own next month if you'd like to attend. Perhaps we can discuss politics some more. Yes! Please, let me escort you. You don't have to do that, Lady Ishbell. I insist! She loops her arm around mine and starts leading me away. Some of the women that weren't at our table stop us, then thank us both, me for my words and Lady Ishbell for inviting me. She deserves their praise, but absorbs it with a humble glow. Maybe she fits in at court after all. Eventually, we leave the hum of voices and the gentle clinking of teacups behind. As soon as we're alone, Lady Ishbell turns to me, and she seems more serious than ever. Valkii, can I speak frankly with you for a moment? Of course, Lady Ishbell. She stares at the ground and wrings her hands together. Well, I think you should be more careful around Prince Aurelius. I look at her in surprise. She's never struck me as the type to be suspicious of others, even when she should be. He's very intelligent. I can tell that he is. But intelligent people are good at convincing others, and themselves, of what is logical and what is good. What do you mean by that? If Prince Aurelius decides he should be king, he might think that stabbing Prince Seren in the back is the right thing to do. She looks up at me with a pleading expression. I apologize for being so blunt, but I've often found that to be intelligent is to be unscrupulous. I wonder if this is her background speaking, and more importantly, what sort of people she learned these lessons from. I know you and Prince Seren are close, so could you warn him about Aurelius? Before I can respond, Lady Ishbell changes the topic. Enough about that, though. Thank you for coming, Valkii. And thank you for this little chat, She shoots me a pleading look. Please don't tell any of the princes what I've said. This was just between you and me. Of course. Lady Ishbell beams, gives me a curtsy, and then leaves. I watch her go, and I can't help but admire how quickly she returns to her usual playful self. She really is full of surprises, isn't she? More? No. Okay. So tomorrow is that. We have quite good approval. What's my moolah situation like? Oh. Okay, sorry, something fell from the ceiling and I think it was an insect. In the summer, well, it's still spring technically, right? But it feels like summer, so. It's not that expensive, so. Because I think we are in a good position, I feel like, regarding stats. If we're not, then oopsie, my bad, but yeah. We're gonna go to a mission and we're gonna do the choir. Alright, the palace has been hosting some important guests lately. The guests were so fickle, I mean important, that the choir, specifically hired to entertain them, had been run ragged. As such, given my talent in magic, I was tasked with creating enhanced tea extracts to soothe the singers' strained throats. I wondered what sort of people could listen to a choir to such a point. I would almost certainly get bored. Upon my dropping of the teas, I noticed the singers chatting amongst themselves despite their sore throats. They greeted me enthusiastically, but I soon found myself roped into a conversation about musical technicalities that I knew very little about. To my luck, I knew just the slightest bit about instruments and their pitch ranges. With a great deal of embellishing and referencing of plays, I did not completely embarrass myself for the first couple of minutes. Just as my knowledge was about to run out, Harris walked by and joined the conversation. He, unlike I, knew a great deal about music, including things like things about the instrumentation and themes of popular symphonies. Relieved at the attention shift, I listened to him speak, surprised and pleased at his depth of knowledge. Our combined knowledge, admittedly mostly Harris's, was quite impressive to the singers, so much so that they seemed mollified about being overworked. Well, a little. They thanked me profusely for the tea, at least, and praised me for my depth of experience, saying that the prince's education seemed to be in good hands. I hesitated to remind them that Harris was the one who gave them the most insightful musical opinions. Instead, I graciously accepted their thanks and absconded before they could ask me questions that I definitely wouldn't know the answers to. Harris probably smirked all too knowingly at me on the way out. I didn't actually see it happen, but I am certain it was there. New missions are available. Knock knock. A knock at the door interrupts my line of thought, and I look up to see Raphael standing in the doorway. He looks uncommonly out of sorts. Yes? Remember a few weeks back I asked Sala to tell you about Miss Belmont's request. I frown, racking my brain. There were so many requests, but Miss Belmont does ring a bell. The glass beads. Oh, right, the glass beads. Before I have time to ask why he's suddenly bringing this up, I hear Viola's voice. Raphael looks at me apologetically and shrugs as if to say, I couldn't stop her. I barely have time to stand up from behind my desk before she's there, shooing away the servant who was escorting her, or perhaps trying to stop her. Lady Rosencruz, so this is where you're holed up all day. She looks appraisingly around the room, sizing up every item in it as if I'm planning on putting them up for auction. I walk around my desk to meet her and she turns toward me with a smile. I can't wait to see what new and amazing things you've conjured up for me today. She looks at me with hungry, expectant eyes. I let her hang for a moment before turning on my heels and walking back to my desk. Opening the bottom drawer, I withdraw a small box and say nothing. Viola steps closer, her excitement palpable. Raphael stands by the doorway. He seems nervous, so I give him a reassuring smile before placing the case down on my desk facing Viola. Since your request was more open to interpretation, I tried to think of the most Eskian thing I could. Viola stares at the box's closed lid like a cat waiting for a mouse to come out. Her hands are clasped against her chest. Raphael, too, takes a step closer so he can see. I open the case, knowing the enchanted glass beads will light up the inside like an enchanted treasure. Viola gasps in delight, clapping her hands together and practically jumping up and down when she sees them. Glass beads! How brilliant! How shiny! I let her look at and touch them, which she does, cooing over each one like a proud mother might coo over her babies. Viola holds one above her head and slowly turns it. I can see the shining patterns reflect in her eyes. Eventually, I clear my throat. All Eskian children love playing with glass beads, whether low-born or high-born. Everyone has a set, but none, I wager, as beautiful as this. I could lose myself just looking at them. She whispers breathlessly, and for a moment she seems so very childlike I have to smile. Then she closes her fist around the glowing marble. The shine in her eyes is not that of innocence, but of opportunity. These can be sold on every street corner. I glance at Raphael, who is shaking his head ever so slightly, as if to warn me, one false step and you will become a glass beads alchemist. I raise my hand to stop her. Well, actually, I didn't have time to tell you, but, they are very slow to manufacture. It takes weeks, in fact, just to make one. It's a lie, but they are quite slow to make. Viola raises a brow and opens her fist to look at the marble again. She seems dejected only for a second, then shrugs and perks up. Well, an excellent gift to foreign guests, then. She looks at me and her raised brow causes me to tense up. Although I did ask for something that could be sold in bulk. Her stern expression only lasts for a moment before it melts into a smile. She reaches out as if wanting to pinch my cheek, but thankfully contains herself. I just can't stay mad at you. Thank you, Lady Rosencruz. With that, she places the beads back into the case and stares longingly at the collection for a moment, then closes the lid. Behind her, Raphael silently lets out a breath. Once she's done, she picks up the box and tucks it under her arm, looking quite cheerful. We must do this again sometime. Raphael and I bow to her as she leaves. Soon we can both hear her whistling as she walks down the corridor. We exchange a look. Raphael steps out and silently closes the door behind him, leaving me alone again. I let out a little chuckle as I return to my chair, wondering what will come next from Miss Belmont of the Merchants Guild. Every thief's weekly income has increased. Really? That was it? Let me have a little gander at the thing. It was the week 44, so it'll be week 45 next. And we need a... I don't know what we need. Intelligence check? And I guess, maybe? I'm not sure. I can't tell the colours. Alright, what should we do? Master Painter. No, that's Nazir. Says Nazir. Although I don't think it matters too much. Okay, let's do the firework one. Although... Wait. Can we do that one even? No, we need the explosives, so... We need these. And they're costly. I just don't know... Quite frankly, I just don't know. I don't know how much money I will end up having. I assume these will need to be made at some point. And there's something here. Still. I don't know. Because what if I get 2 requests in a day and I can't do them? So I think we have to go here for now. Let's get our combat up. Just in case it's necessary. Also, why are you learning water again? Like, I cannot for the life of me remember. Let's give you fire. You have 95 fire. Am I missing anything? Like, what they're gonna have to do? I don't know, but either way, we should get his light up. And how are you doing? Again, why am I getting his light up? I think that was for something else I actually don't need to do. So what's... You are lacking in water, so just do water. Alright. As usual, I will be back when the stats are done. Okay, I guess this will do, but actually it's time for me to start another video. So I will see you then. Bye!